8 years have passed since this game was created. It may not have a lot of players, but it still has charm. So, this game is something I played for a while, and I'm going to revisit it. Now, this was popular with many YouTubers and lots of other gamers throughout its time in 2018 to 2019. What is this game called? It's called The Camping. As if you could probably not tell from the title right away. This game's premise is very simple, and honestly, it's not too much of an issue to follow. You are basically a guy who is camping with a few friends of yours on whatever kind of problems you're escaping, but then the trip turns bad as some sort of guy goes around the entire not the neighborhood, but the entire campsite and murders one of the guys left and right. So you have to escape, and eventually you have to survive the entire trip, only for at least the ending to be, honestly, for me, a pretty disappointment. Now, this game was created, as I said, from 2018, and despite having a simple premise and limited map design, this was really popular with other YouTubers and all. I feel like that's likely due to the fact of just simply how simple this game is, the simple design, interior, and more. I could be wrong though, you can list out your thoughts, but what exactly is the gameplay, and I will summarize it for you. I sound completely bored in this recording because honestly, this game hasn't changed much, and there's not much replayability here if I'm going to tell you right away. You first spawn in a lobby with other people, and that's where the trucks are going to be. You are given the option to choose 3, but they're just there to make sure that the rounds go a little bit faster than usual than having to wait on one truck. Once you go through the truck and this weird whiteout screen, you're bringing to Specky Woods, which is the campsite you go camping in with your buddies. Now, there isn't as much to begin in the first half of the game. All you do is just explore and take a look around at the map with its very simple premise and the very simple design points that is quite relevant to this game. Now, there are many trees around this area, and they are all created by the creator himself, and some grass are also textured in, and some leaves fall down. The campsite itself is pretty simple with only 2 nets. And 2 nets apparently is enough to have 2 people, or I guess 12 players, to sleep in. I don't know about you, but the size and the huge dexterity of Roblox characters, I don't think 2 tents are going to be enough. You're going to need more than that. Surrounded by 3 seats of rows of logs where people can sit and just eat a lot of s'mores, eat a lot of sandwiches and hamburgers. Okay, maybe I made the last part up, and I'm going to tell you right away I did, but you get the point. As night strolls around, you just chill, but then this happens. So you have to run away to whatever your safe space is, but I recommend the cave itself, and once the killing is done, it then begins to rain. I don't know how, but the rain is strong enough to actually kill somebody, which is... what? How is that physically possible even though it's literally just rain? Game logic definitely doesn't make sense in this game. The next morning you go back to camp, but then the entire shit is all ruined. Oh man, I'm not gonna even be able to sleep in this one tent. So you guys hatch a plan to sleep in the cave. The next night you stay in the cave, but uh-oh, someone has forgot to bring the picnic table or the picnic baskets. So all of you are hungry, so you have to send one guy out. It's either you volunteer or someone else volunteers to get the lunch for you. Once you do that, you get the sandwiches that everyone is waiting for. That didn't make any sense. But once everyone has finished their lunch, apparently the sandwich has been poisoned. Uh-oh. And in this game, you are given the option to save them with the med kit that you have with you. That is, unless if you have the Game Pass or even the one you found in the map itself that you can find. Once you save the person, or if they just die, the cave somehow collapses itself in. Guess it's because the rain is pretty strong. So you go through this wall here, which has 2 ways, and one of them is dangerous. So you pick either side, because both of them are randomized, and you cannot guarantee it of the same spot where it could have the spikes, and it could change. And this is going to be a bit of a tough choice to choose. You have to choose wisely. I wouldn't probably go with the areas where the most common people would choose. I don't think it's the safest. So it's best that you choose what you think is safe. Once that's done, you go down, and you're provided with 2 either ways, flood escape or bears. And once you escape to the surface, it continues on being a bitch to you. And the next night, it's not going to be much better, because this is where someone gets wait for it, kidnapped. So, one of you guys is gonna get kidnapped, and the rest has to go look for the guys. But oh boy, it's not gonna be easy either, because everyone else is going to have to find them randomized in the map. With them being randomized in the map, you have to work as a team to find them, or unless if you don't want to work in a team and look for them separately. Once you find them, you can free them. And once they are freed, you go back to the campsite. But then, the rain stops. You head back. You go out to take a look what's going on, only to notice that there's a pitch of blackness or whatever that is that's coming towards you. So you go to the rock that's nearby with the stairs. Bang bang boom, you made it safely. But oh no, my friend, it's not safe just yet, cause the shadow appears again. You queer in fear, it comes straight towards you, but then daylight approaches. It falls to the ground, and yay! Looks like we're not gonna be murdered tonight, isn't it? Right? No? Okay then. As it turns out, the Shadow Man was saying that to the effect of, I wasn't here going to murder you guys. There was a murderer that was on the loose and was going to kill you. And they are literally in your group right now. Wait a second, wait a minute, what? With my, I guess, not so enthusiastic voice explaining this entire thing and summarizing it, that is what camping is really about. It's just you going on a camping trip, and then all of a sudden, this guy appears, but then it turns out he's not there to kill you, and turns out there's someone else that's trying to kill you. I don't know what their reasoning is, but let's just sink that in. As I said, the premise of this game is pretty simple, and the storyline is pretty easy to follow when you get to the main part and to the end where the plot twist is revealed. I do like this game's very simple design and the at least limited space that it has. It may not essentially be a game for the huge exploring elements, and that's fine enough. I mean, camping, it sounds like it's just for one place where you guys chill around and throughout the entire week plan out some more while you're on the trip, and probably want to make sure you don't go too far out. So that's what I like about the game. I like that it's at least limited space that it has. It definitely gives off a nice good old school vintage vibe that it's got going on, because it's using old textures rather than using the modern ones, which is surprising from a game from 2018. I thought Roblox was going to force old textures to be moved away from this game, but I guess in this game it's not. The very simple premise of the game itself is pretty enjoyable to follow along. I will say, while the plot twist was at least pretty damn awesome, I would say it was a bit disappointing. Like seriously, you can't tell me that this guy right here, literally inked in all shadow, literally going after this one person. You're telling me that he's going to straight up murder these other people just to find who the right guy is? I mean, come on, really? That literally does not sound like justice to me. It sounds like complete murder. Murdering at least 20 plus people, or the 12 people that were in the group of ours, just so you can find the one guy who was responsible for killing other people? I'm sorry, but you seem to be quite the conundrum on this. While I guess the gameplay itself is simple and all and enjoyable to say, I will admittedly say that I don't think that the entire ending for me wouldn't make sense for one of these guys to apparently be the murderer. I mean, we spent the entire day planning out the week, and you're telling me that one of the guys is gonna murder us for whatever reason it is? There's gotta be some sort of story behind it, if I'm gonna tell you right away. And here's another problem that I think the game would eventually have an issue with. Once you complete the story and all, there's not much of this game offers, other than the fact that the story is completed, so you don't have much to do now that you know the story itself, unless if you find some secrets which can add more. But eventually, it's not going to be much now that you know the story and the secrets. When you find them, it's going to be the same thing. The little parkour section of the game itself was fine and all, but I will say it is a bit hard if you're going to, if you don't know your way through from playing the first time of the game, or if you're not careful enough. It definitely did add a bit of the, the tension feeling that I need to get out of here, otherwise I'm going to die. How would I give camping? I guess my own thoughts on it. I'd say it is, a decent game now. nowadays. Sure, it might have gained popularity from the time period in 2018 and 2019, but when you really look into it and play it a couple of times, it's just a very simple game for at least anyone to enjoy without needing the reliance of deep meanings or not too much, I guess, effort to be put in, and just wanting to have a good time. So that's what I really think of camping. I think it's at least a decent and a very simple game, and the simpleness of the game itself is pretty nice. And it's at least an okay, or at least a nice refreshing touch to some of the other horror games that often might need a story that is, behind it, and often is taking place at the pages. Most horror games I found aren't even exactly that good with its story itself, nor is it like, I guess great, nor is it like great to an extent, because it's, it's just copy and paste all over again. So camping, even though 8 years later that there's not a lot of players playing it, it's at least a decent and a simple game that's at least somebody can enjoy without needing too much of the idea of, I guess, of a crazy story or a lot more of these themes that are playing in. So if you're a guy who's looking for a simple horror game on the Roblox platform, you can look for camping. It's not scary, but it is a nice simple game that you can find.